the west, the north, and the south. May you continue to help us to put on the breastplate of righteousness in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And we give you praise, we give you glory, and we give you honor. In the name of our Father, and of his Son, and of the Holy Spirit with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. You may have your seats. Political leader of the Democratic, of this powerful organization, the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Party Chairman, Dr. Sean Ned, Vice Chairman, Comrade Andre Kawan, Deputy Political Leaders Dr. Pate B. Israel, Alicia Patterson, Deputy Political Leader leading the charge for this THA 2021 second round of election, members, partners, intercessors, our lovely brothers and sisters who disagree with our philosophy but know it's the best. Welcome. Welcome. We appreciate your presence wherever you are. Join the live, share the live. A special good night to those on any application of the social media and virtual platform. Tonight, the Progressive Democratic Patriots continues with its program On the Road series. I want to say something to you about noise. And as we go along, I will share with you a concept about noise. There is something called a battle cry. It's not noise, it's a battle cry. It's an emission of sound. And battle cries are usually a signal that any opponent use against their foes, any group of persons. A battle cry is a form of internal energy, that takes the form of a stun to the enemies. Then there is another application of sound, and it's a cry of the victim. And then there is a time of silence. As we go along, I will share some concepts. Tonight, as we continue our On the Road program, I want to bring to you a lady, a strong woman who reminds me of motherhood. A woman who understands the cultural implication and cultural relationships, a community person. A lady who empowers her community by many programs. She would have had a virtual session of financial management for single parents. A lady who understands the needs of society. A lady who engages in going through her community and meeting those persons who are challenged. Brothers and sisters, Tobago really experiences some adverse situation of hardship in spite of the resources that are available. This evening I bring to you Abby Taylor. Abby Taylor, a woman of strength.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and now we skin tough. So many that have been shown at us. Real Spartans never give up. Yeah. The winds of change.
Good evening.
Blowing your way.
All lively Napoleon self, na man. Good evening. We're here to talk about the man with the plan, Mr. Trevor James. Good evening, Spartans. Good evening to our viewing and listening audience via all media channels. Good evening, Tobago. Mr. Trevor James Mr. Trevor Williamson James. I'll get to you in a moment. But Spartans, and when I say Spartans, I just don't mean you in the audience here. I mean every Tobagonian, because right now Tobago turned black. Spartans, tell me something. All of don't feel a how? All of ain't feeling a kind of way? I'm feeling a kind of how tonight. They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But coming from those on the other side, it is an insult to my intelligence. And it should be to every right-thinking person who has lived here for the past 21 years and who have witnessed the first-hand neglect of the space that we call Scarborough. Permit me as I start to state categorically that the PDP presented our Scarborough revitalization plan to the people of this island since January of this year. But it was not good enough for those on the other side. They scoffed at our intentions. All you remember when they laughed we? They said that could never be done. All you remember when they laughed at our dreams? When they belittled our vision? But lo and behold, they now announce a waterfront project for Scarborough. Imitation to flatter or imitation to deceive? Tobago, do not be deceived. And I say that again. Tobago, do not be deceived. Now is not the time to be deceived by plans being pulled out of back rooms and back pockets. The PDP is allowed to campaign on plans because we have not sat in any chairs as yet. However, those on the other side need to campaign on delivery. What have they delivered to the people of this island? What can we say is value for money in Tobago? Funny how the cry in January was, where the manifesto, where the manifesto? We do not do manifestos over here. We do mandates. Mandates that have been presented to the people in this campaign. We use our workshop series to painstakingly outline the various strategic plans in major areas, including education, fishery, agriculture, youth development, and among others, all created in consultation with you, the people. We have presented to you what you have asked for, and we intend to deliver. So again, I ask, flattery, imitation to, flattery to imitate or flattery to deceive? Mr. Trevor James, Mr. Trevor Williamson James, our candidate for Scarborough Mount Grace, is the man most eminently qualified to deliver this plan. He is experienced in engineering, project management, and construction, and he will ensure that our dreams will come to life with the recommissioning of our brand new city of Scarborough. For the residents of my district, Darrell Springwim, who make up the outlying areas, the benefits will be tremendous. Immediate employment for both skilled and unskilled labor, and increased economic activity through the establishment of new and expansions of existing businesses. Tobago will become the envy of the Caribbean, and Trevor James is the man to deliver that. The most beautiful thing about being a part of a dynamic team is that there are no shortages of ideas. So we welcome on the live all those who are taking notes from the other side. Hello. The difference, however, between them and us is that we will deliver, and the people of Tobago can hold us to that. We look forward to the day we can compete with islands like St. Martin, the British Virgin Islands, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, and Grenada for cruise ship passengers. No longer will our guests wander around aimlessly with very little to no show for their stop. No place to shop, no place to be entertained or to do or see anything. But under this PDP administration, Tobago and the city of Scarborough will become the crown jewel of the Southern Caribbean. And our candidate, Trevor Williamson James, will be the man to deliver that. This team has a depth of experienced person. My team real deep. Some of the best and brightest of Tobago are part of this team. A true coalition of the competent and willing. Mr. Trevor James brings a wealth of experience from his tenure in the Tobago House of Assembly and as a private contractor. He is a man who measures twice, 3 times, 4 times when he only has to cut once. In a time where we are staring evidence of wastage and mismanagement and corruption, we cannot take any chances with a project of this magnitude. Tobago, we need to elect people who have demonstrated competencies and the track record to get this done. Mount Grace and Scarborough, you have a second chance to get this right. You have a second opportunity to elect a man whose only intention is to revitalize our economy and resurrect a dying capital. You have an opportunity to ensure that this new PDP administration has its contractor on board who will ensure that we get value for money for every public works project that involves the use of taxpayers' money. Tobago, no make your money sleep out. The time is more than ripe for us to peel off our blinders and admit to ourselves that those who have held the reins for the last 21 years have allowed our capital to deteriorate to a shadow of its former self. We are not seeing progress because it's simply not there. So residents of Scarborough, Mount Grace, and by extension, Darrell Springwim, are you ready for progress? Are you ready for your town to graduate into a city? Are you ready for us to rival any tourist capital on any island in the Caribbean? Well, if you are ready for that, vote Trevor Williamson James. Vote the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and let's all come together and fix this. Good night.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our skin tough. So many that's
Come on, let us hear it for our candidate, for Darrell Springwim. Darrell Spring together. And Darrell Spring, I know you're looking on, we're saying good night to you. Some noise for the people in Darrell Spring. And there are these communities. This PDP is going to let you experience some true Tobago love. So every community, every district, we come in your way. And you know, we walked the streets and we went down Spring Road. And in coming up, I saw Abby sprinting up the hill. But I was glad I didn't join the sprint because these days men can't take licks from women too much. So I allowed the ladies to sprint and I adopt the position of a coach. Well done, ladies. So that's our candidate for WIM, Darrell Spring, also a life coach, endorsing our candidate for Scarborough, Mount Grace. Brothers and sisters, you know, I would have had some experience in business. Well, let me say some exposure. So when in chatting with this gentleman, I discussing business, the man tell me he's a businessman. I cool it. I start to discuss accounting. The man has been teaching me some accounting principles. So I'm asking him, where you learned this? The man said he has a bachelor's in accounting. We discussing economics. The man teaching me thing again. The man tell me he also has a bachelor's in accounting, in economics. I say, let me shift this thing a little because this man really, every area I go, he master it. I start to talk about farming because I grew up in a farming community. Next thing I see the man putting down 5,000 tomato plants in Mason Hall. I stop having conversation with this man. I start to discuss heavy equipment. The man own heavy equipment and fixing up all the communities that the THA has been neglecting. I bring to you tonight, Ian White Pollard.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our we skin tough. So many that have been shown at us. Real Spartans never give up. Yeah. The winds of change blowing your way, but some those chains. It's a brand new day. It's not a dream.
A pleasant good night, Spartans. Those on the World Wide Web, pleasant good night to you also. Trevor James, the man I'm here to endorse tonight. And the rest are short Tobago and Tobagonians. Trevor James, Abby Taylor, Natisha Charles Pantin, and Ian Pollard. We're bringing home receipts. We're bringing home receipts, despite what? This feels like a reunion to me. And I have to address something tonight, so I'll take my time. The class of 82, which Trevor and I, we are friends now 44 years, because we entered Scarborough in 1977. And we know we like the other sides like to take things and turn it into couture. And they want to say that Mr. Nasib Mohammed, they might say that it's a UNC man. I want them to know, Nasib Mohammed went Signal Hills with us from 1977 to 1982. His father was a maxi taxi owner, used to transport us from Scarborough to Signal Hill. He's a Tobagonian. They used to call his father Bata. And if some of you young folks would know Bata store, where Bata store was in Tobago, but we know. So I don't want them to go with the misconception that he's not one of us. He's born, bred Tobagonian. A man with more than 30-something years experience in the banking industry as a bank manager. So we attract every kind of people in the Progressive Democratic Patriots. So beside that history, Trevor James, a man, like I said, I got to know since 1977. A man I know that since in those days, he knew what he wanted in life. I mean, he was a boss, woodwork, and metalwork student. So you know he was destined for greatness from since then. So after we parted ways from school, and I went abroad, came back here, heard that he was in charge of the furniture shop in Works Division, I knew he didn't lose his course because he was destined to be great. He was always an articulate person, a stickler for things, just like Miss Natisha Pantin. So when Trevor brought up his plan last year, November, no, before I get to that plan, we both purchased land adjacent to each other in Annesville. And after the political leader would have stopped by our family property and asked me to join the race, you know me, I like to give my little trouble above and weave. Trevor called me, he said, "How we go in this race, boy? We had to change this." Because he and I would experience the same headache by tongue and country of not wanting to approve our lands in the square footage that we need. And he said, "We must change this." I said, "All right, we go jump, we go in." He said, "You go in?" Yes, I go in. But wait till he jump. He thought I was going to jump first, but I gave him a rope a dope. So he jumped. After he jumped, I said, all right. Because I was looking to see the team that was going to build to, contest the January election. And then I decided I was going, because when I look at it, we should have dedicated persons who are committed to the development of Tobago and Tobagonians, professional people with integrity. On the other side, they're not like Trevor and I, who struggle in business, and some of them never sell a tulum. Or as young persons, to know the fiscal measures you have to adopt in order to provide for your people, for your island. So they decide they're spending money willy-nilly, anyhow, hodgepodge. But persons like Trevor and myself, who had that kind of financial training, knows that, okay, we have to cut and contrive in order to to raise the people of Tobago. Because, as I always say, Tobagonians don't need a handout. They need a hand up. That is what they need. That is what we need. So there's no doubt in my mind, last November when Trevor released that plan to us at Gardenside Car Park, I go call it in common terms. They follow fashion. They copycat, we used to say long ago in our days. All of a sudden, they have a view about Scarborough, that they want to implement thing. They said Trevor dream was a pie in the sky. That could never be reality. This, that, the other. But they very well know, because his brother is sitting there. And they know the plans that his administration under Hochach has left there in 1996 are what Scarborough should have looked like. What the Esplanade was supposed to look like. Nothing as what they came in 2001 and did. So I know that Trevor will execute. And he will make sure, you see what he told us when he was here 2 weeks ago? If this project isn't done in 5 years, it's a waste of time. That's a man who knows what he's doing. That's a man who knows, put timeline to it, money to it. Those on the other side just saying that they were talking about that a long time. All of a sudden, they're talking about things a long time ago. Well, they go keep on talking. It's just like Johnny Walker keep on walking. They go keep on talking. Because they cannot deliver. That is a man who knows what he wants to do, in a time limit. And that is what killing Tobago projects. There's no time limit. They start a project today. They started Moya football field since in the 90s. This is 2021, it's not finished. There's not a pavilion. So they have a never-ending way of bringing projects to Tobagoans. But I know under the astute leadership of Mr. James, that port of Scarborough will be delivered under 5 years.
PDP!
So the residents of Scarborough, Mongoose. Now I've left him with some good people. I did my homework, I did my track work, I did my work with my people in my Mongoose and Gogo Patch. And I know they're going to support him. And I know he took the baton and he's going to run with them. Because that's all they need, is support. So residents of Scarborough, Mongoose, go out in your numbers. Vote wisely. Vote with some venom for Trevor Williamson James. Vote for the Progressive Democratic Patriots to bring true change to Tobago. Now, I've heard everybody saying that we need change. It's not that you need change. You deserve better as a Tobagonian. It's not just change. You deserve better. All of a sudden, you have ministries from Trinidad coming here and giving you all kind of grants. It's not even going through the THA anymore. Ministries from Trinidad are here, giving out grants. In my community, they're giving $1,000 in jerseys. Because they desperately need to win this election. Not for the benefit of Tobago or Tobagonians, but to save their leader face and for them to continue in their corrupt practices, where that they give you crumbs and their contractors walk away with billions of dollars. But we're going to get down to more of that on Tuesday night. So I'm appealing to you all. Call your families wherever they are. Urge them. Let them go out on the 6th and vote overwhelmingly for our candidate, Mr. Trevor Williamson James of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Good night. Thank you.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our whiskey tough. So many that's have been Jonathans.
If there's one thing that is noticeable in this organization, this entity, is action, people. People of action. I promise to tell you a little story about a slight concept of noise and sound. Tobago generally is a place whose history includes and involves slavery. Oppression is considered misapplied energy. Slavery was prominent because the oppressors, they're not entrepreneurs. There is a difference between oppressors, abuse, and entrepreneurism. And slavery would have endured because these persons engaged in this business venture attempted to pay little or nothing for labor, yet they wanted the maximum of return. There was a time when the slave masters would have had the whipman to beat the slaves, punish them. But there was a stage in the slave life when he developed a resilience to the punishment and the pain. Usually, when the whip lashed against the back of the slave, he would have responded with a sound. And the whipper, the person beating the slave, would have been able to identify the degree of punishment and how much it affected the slave. But because the slave developed the resilience, there was a time when the whip hit the back of the slave and he made no sound. The man with the whip was concerned. So in his exertion to apply more force to the whip, he'd have used a sound. But the slave did not respond. Then the slave would have absorbed that pain and eventually overcome his oppressor. The noise you're hearing now, by the other side, it is because the punishment they have been inflicting on Tobagonians. Tobagonians has reached that place where they are able to absorb the punishment. They're not emitting any sound, so the oppressor is very concerned. This is the concept as to why they attack the integrity of our leaders, because they know the leaders has engaged those who have been oppressed. Brothers and sisters, just as slavery was abolished, soon your redemption lies. A few days. Hold the fort. Hold the fort. Brothers and sisters, we can check the days. I want to bring to you tonight a lady who is engaged in natural science. You know, I was thinking about the English language. If you study ecology, then you are an ecologist. If you study natural science, you are a naturalist. But if you're involved in the community, we can't call you a communist. But I bring to you a lady who has been in our community. She has engaged, as a matter of fact. Do you remember someone who would have gone up against Ashwood Jack and almost topple him? But let me not talk too much about that. Let me bring to you a lady who could tell you about her story, and she changed from the camp of the oppressors because she understood the true needs of community. She is now on the party for truth and deliverance. I bring to you, brothers and sisters, our sister, Natisha Hanton.
PDP victory, the road now run the journey rough. We foot strong and our we skin tough. So many that have been Jonathans, real Spartans never give up. Yeah.
It takes a Moses to rescue the people, eh? Moses spent a lot of years with Pharaoh before he conquered him, all right? So let me start by saying all protocols observed. I am Natisha Charles Pantin, the PDP's candidate for the electoral district of Bagatelle Bacalet. And I am here tonight to implore the people of Scarborough, Mount Grace, to vote resoundingly for your PDP candidate, Mr. Trevor James, on December 6, 2021.
PDP.
You see, by now, it is public knowledge that Mr. James is the man with the plan to rebuild Scarborough. Yes, that is a strong reason to vote for him as the representative for Scarborough, Mount Grace. But I will leave that up to him because he's the expert in that. I, however, look at the other subtle assets which he brings to the table. Just over a week ago, I sat and listened to Trevor as he put forth data on the failure rate in our primary level education system and the proposals he has in mind to help to remedy that situation. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what inspired me. Or rather, it really let me stand up and take a closer look at Trevor. Let us back up a bit and do a little closer look at Trevor. Trevor's wife is an educator. She's a very successful principal. Trevor attended the Scarborough Secondary School, then set about qualifying himself as a carpenter. He decided to let his hands make money for him, along with his brain. Let us look even further. Together, Trevor and his wife, they have produced not one, but 2 scholars here in Tobago. 2. That means something, and it certainly means a lot in the context of what I heard from Trevor just over a week ago. Trevor proposed to formulate a pilot curriculum geared towards trying to identify the problem of failure among our primary school children and to bring some remedy to that problem. I am almost certain that his curriculum will be geared along the same lines which he and his wife implemented to propel their 2 girls to becoming Rhodes Scholars. He outlined that initially his pilot program will target 10 students from a few schools, following his scripted curriculum for 5 years, if my memory serves me well. If and when his program has been proven to be successful in raising the standards of these students, he will then propose to the Executive Council the said program to be introduced across the board in Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what a scientist will do. They will use a sample to create a formula. Ladies and gentlemen, if that, along with his well-publicized development plan for Scarborough and his other personal attributes, are not reasons to vote for Mr. Trevor James as the next representative for Scarborough, Mount Grace, then I do not know what is. With that, I stand here tonight and firmly endorse my colleague, Mr. Trevor James, to be the next era representative for the electoral district of Scarborough, Mount Grace. And I implore the residents of Scarborough, Mount Grace to also throw your full support behind Mr. Trevor James by voting for him on Monday, the 6th of December, 2021 in this THA election.
PDP.
I thank you tonight.
PDP victory, road now run the journey rough. Foot strong and our whiskey tough. So many that's have been Jonathans. Real Spartans never give up. Yeah. The winds of change, blowing your...
Thank you, my sister Natisha Pantin. You know, Natisha, I must accept that's a solid Bible lesson. Moses grew up in the palace of Pharaoh, but it was not for the purpose of extending the kingdom of or the regime of Pharaoh. The purpose of Moses' life within the palace of Pharaoh was to understand the system for which you are to come against. So all our brothers and sisters across on the other side, learn the system, understand it, because before December 6th, your calling will be made clear to you. The time will come. There is something that amazes me about PDP candidate. Usually there is a expression, a jack of trade. But these persons are masters of trade. In a little while, we want to share with you a video that really expresses and shows the Scarborough development plan. I want you to experience this video. I want you to look at this video and absorb it. Absorb genuine, sincere, and original content. Are you ready?
Welcome to the new Scarborough. This is the PDP's concept design of our flagship project, the project that initiates the transformation of Tobago into the country we have all dreamed of, the city of Scarborough.
This is the first phase of PDP's vision for heralding the city of Scarborough. It includes the reclamation of approximately 38 acres of land from the sea. It requires that we retake control of town and country planning to redefine the perimeter of the city to allow for zoning of specified spaces within that area.
Within the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago, Scarborough has a long history of neglect by those who hold the reins of power in Port of Spain. This neglect has left us with an unpleasant capital that no longer meets our needs or ideals of bringing Tobago into the 21st century. There is now a need to position our country to take advantage of new opportunities in tourism, interregional passenger connectivity, and international commercial connectivity. The development includes solutions for the following. The new harbour. Our new harbour will be reorganized to establish new docking and simultaneous berthing facilities for at least 3 ships, in addition to small craft and sea vessels. It will include a museum to house the artifacts and treasures from the seabed left there as a result of battles between European countries. It will include 2 new administrative and passenger terminal buildings, upgraded Coast Guard and fishermen docking areas.
The second major feature is our new transportation hub. The city will now experience a new and better functioning traffic plan and infrastructure as we introduce an expansive transportation hub. It is intended to utilize the area where the old Scarborough Mall occupied, extending south onto Carrington Street, with connectivity via Skywalk to our spanking new garden side parkade, business and shopping centers.
The new city will include a civic assembly center. This will be located at the block where TNTech currently is. It will be converted into government offices that will allow for ease of doing business with the government of Tobago. This will be a group of high-rise buildings in close proximity to each other and linked to the Victor E. Bruce office building.
Our current assembly chamber will now be merged seamlessly into the new Tobago Legislative and Historical Center. We propose to merge the Assembly Chamber contiguously with a new library and research facility, and all Tobago parliamentary affairs, extending south onto Main Street. This will be the new seat of governance into conversion of Burnett Hill into a pedestrian street with cobblestone pavers.
The city will now boast of improved road infrastructure and connectivity. The international terminal at Pier 3 will be linked to the Claude Noel Highway along Smithfield Road. This will also facilitate entry to the proposed housing development, hotel, and conference center on the opposite side of Light and Life School. To aid in the movement of traffic, a roundabout will be included at this location. Gardenside Street will also enter the local terminal area of our new port. The current shops at the Esplanade will now be upgraded. Other critical features of the proposal will include the concreting of all drains leading into the city and the construction of weirs along their courses to retard the flow of water where necessary. The removal of all concrete central columns to all bridges spanning Carrington Street. These items will contribute to the elimination of flooding in the city. The creation of underground utility corridors to accommodate all service lines will be a main feature of the development. It will include upgraded sidewalks and greenery along Milford Road to create a pedestrian-friendly atmosphere. We will also remove all abandoned buildings and institute a program of continuous maintenance of all vacant lots. Our plan is to execute the project in phases to ease congestion and inconvenience during construction. Fellow Tobagonians, the new city of Scarborough can only become a reality if we vote to remove rampant corruption and wastage from our government.
This has been a presentation from the Progressive Democratic Patriots, the Tobago Transformers.
Welcome back. One thing that is noticeable about these candidates within the PDP, it is their vast experience. This man, originally, his first trade, his first life skill is that of a carpenter. He taught at the youth camp, taught at YTEP. He worked in the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities. He worked all over our Twin Island as an engineer, project manager. He worked at the Scarborough Hospital. I believe he has some question to answer about the mansion in Mason Hall, but we'll discuss that another time. He was the director of settlements. Brothers and sisters, the man behind the plan that they tried to hijack. I bring to you the man with the vision, the man that we can understand, but the man who sees what we can't see. I bring to you Trevor Williamson,
PDP posse, Darrell Spring posse. Tonight I am honored you have really done is give some contracts to those who want to make war now on Tobago. That's all you have done. So this is why you find as you go around Tobago, everybody say, them men do nothing, because even the common man among us understand what development really is. And they could see that their lives have not changed in the 21 years that the other side has been in power. And so, rightfully, they say, and we say, we as a community in Tobago have not moved forward. We have been, as Pastor Bates would say, we have been in stasis. We have almost flatlined, and the PDP is coming to convert DC current to AC. At the district level, economic development involves the allocation of resources in a way that has a positive effect on business activity, on employment, and on income distribution patterns. Let me read that again. At the district level, at the level where the 12, 15 seats are, economic development involves the allocation of resources in a way that has a positive effect on business activity, employment, and economic distribution and income distribution patterns. Now, what does that mean? That when you invest and you expend money on some infrastructure, it must multiply into some business activity, it must create employment, and it must change the distribution of income so that those who are at the lower level are able to rise. Has that been done in Tobago? Have we had development, therefore? So the question that arises is how do I, as part of the PDP executive, allocate resources in a way that it creates a positive effect on business activity in Scarborough Mongrace, that it creates a positive effect on employment in Scarborough Mongrace, and as it creates income distribution patterns. we have to stop. Scarborough, Mongrace, we are bigger than that. And when I get to the vision for Scarborough, I will explain that, because now we need to think big. We need to want to build something big, something different, something unique in Tobago. And I was reminded tonight by a good friend of mine that once you go through Port of Spain, no institution there is. How come it took them years to bring a technical school through NEC and NESC in Tobago when they have John Deere and Sandotek for decades? And he reminded me that, in his opinion, which I believe I can concur with, that once you go through Trinidad, go through Port of Spain, they are not about developing Tobago. So that's why I put out that video, that every thing in Tobago, every expenditure, I digress, but every expenditure in Tobago builds the economy of Port of Spain. We are paying for labor to plant dashi. We are paying for labor to drive on trucks so we can get some good or service in Tobago. What was Shadow say? We strip it over. We have to fix this relationship thing if our economy has to stand up. The next point that we will deliver as part of the plan for Scarborough Mongrace is education. Natisha touched on it. Thank you. As I announced previously, I have been looking at the data, not only for Scarborough Mongrace, but across Tobago. And the data out of SEA is so alarmingly poor that when we lord over the few that are successful, we begin to think that somehow we're doing well. Just as you know, they increased the arrivals from 13,000 to 18,000 in the last 5 years. And that is a big thing. They could now go and they could bring in a new team and set up some new company, not realizing that 25 years ago, it was 90,000. And that is what we are doing in the education system. We are lauding the few in order to cover the failings of the system. And I know this is hard for us to swallow, because nobody wants to hear the children failing. But this is the reality, and the THA is culpable for hiding the data on the raw scores of students for years in order to glorify themselves in the success of the few. Under a PDP government, we will publish the raw data for all exams in Tobago so that we could have a true analysis of where we are. We could identify the problem that we have so we could develop a solution for it. So I have committed, my team and I, to write personal development plans for 45 standard 3 students from the 3 primary schools in the district. That is 15 students per school, and this will be my pilot that hopefully we will have data from in 2 years so that the executive under PDP run THA, can make an informed decision of where we go and what is required. Because believe me, the teachers need help, the parents need help, and the students need our love. And I say this, and I feel I have the right to say this, because I raised two open national scholars. My wife and I, we understand the model that should be adopted for children to be successful in exams and to do well in school, and the discipline that is required for success to reign. We will build a skills development institute. At the very least, we will facilitate the re-registration of the Tobago Technical Institute, which resides in our district. Because we don't understand how we stratify a society, how we stratify the labor force. To think that this technical education from primary school level. I remember when I was in primary school, the guys who went to standard 5, standard 6, and standard 7 were exposed to technical knowledge, technical studies. We need to bring that back, because today we can't find a carpenter who is qualified below 25 years old. We can't find an electrician, a plumber, AC technician, an instrumentation technician. All the jobs are being taken by Venice, Jamaicans, and Guyanese, although the Guyanese go in now. All the jobs, while our young men and young women sit down at home doing nothing and trying to catch a sweat every evening. We need to bring that back, and we need to bring that back right away. So I want to give out a shout out to the educators from Scarborough, Hall, Teacher Shirley Bob Phillip, educator par excellence, Skipper Mitch, Charles, the Moran family, Scarborough, Calder Hall, and Tong people who were not public, who were not part of the public system, but who contributed immensely to the education system in Tobago. And their work has not been applauded and recognized by the THA. We will fix that. But I want to talk about the Tobago Technical School, because I came back from Trinidad after a stint in Trinidad in 1989, and another brother was doing this electrical installation course in the house. I had nothing to do, so I said, you know what, let me do this thing. And he told me that he was going to Tobago Technical School doing City and Guilds exam. So I did the course with him. So I am one of the first set of students of Tobago Tech. This THA did not assist the only technical school in Tobago and let it flounder into nothingness. I want to tell you, Brother Kwaku, PDP, and Trevor James will fix that. We will decentralize and restructure the school feeding program so that all catering for these 4 schools in my district will be done by caterers from the district. We have to change the income distribution patterns if we are to see economic development. All we ask is that the caterers have nominated farmers and supermarkets from the district, employees from the district, because I am about building a personal economy in Scarborough called the Hall. And I want you all in Scarborough, Mount Grace. I go back, Scarborough called the Hall. In Scarborough, Mount Grace, the only way that we can change our economic position, because the problem we have is economic. Problem is not government and supervision, it is economic. When Rowley come with his 1%ers to take all the land, they know that the problem is economic, and they are holding us back by ensuring that we build the Trinidad economy by every dollar that we spend. $300 million we spend on agricultural produce from Trinidad every year. $300 million, while those on the other side allow marketing board to disappear. And we vote for that because come election time, where YT say they give you a little money in a jersey, we vote for that because somebody say, Granny tell them, and I grew up in a P&M house, and I had to vote P&M forever because somehow the mafioso is going to come and get you, and they're going to know when you go behind the little cardboard that who you vote for. We need to move away from that thinking and put Tobago first. All the time. All the time. These are serious times. These are serious elections. So you won't see me jumping up and down because I understand, like I said, my mind is now trained to the point where I see. School feeding program running in the district. Every single primary school, preschool, daycare student will be fed under this program because nutrition is critical for mental capacity to develop. And we ain't taking chance with no children. We're building a better future for our children. We want to see every child become independent. Don't vote for me because you want some little work or some little t-shirt. Become independent, contribute to the economy, and tell me, James, facilitate this for me. You and I could talk because I in that. We will provide free, stable, open Wi-Fi in all public recreational spaces in the district. All. We can't do it through TSTT, because right now, this TSTT B-Mobile people can't even provide data in town. You're driving on the highway and your phone cutting off and the THA sit down and doing nothing in the 21st century when we should have, what's the new thing? It's not copper again, what it is? Fiber all over. The fiber area working. And when Hotra and them was planning to have their own telecommunication authority, they shut it down because they had to run everything from Trinidad, and you have to have your own, you have to have your international connection through Trinidad, and you can't get to the internet, and madness. We will fix that. So that leaves me with Scarborough. But before I put on my advertising voice like in the video and say, welcome to the city of Scarborough. I know they're waiting for it because they talk all kind of madness last night or the night before. And you're waiting so hold a little longer. The city of Scarborough is coming. I want to tell you why you should reject that copycat, that trickster, who keeps presenting herself as someone Stephen King would describe as not being the brightest bulb in the chandelier. Because clearly there's a lack of understanding. The lack of understanding that is being perpetuated by this blatant display of unimaginative, visionless, Port of Spain-centric, house slavish, late ideas for Scarborough. But let me wait for that and permit me to send a message first to a fella from Digo Martin who had the audacity to call our chief secretary a runt the other night, and the media just disregard it as nothing, because that is them. Them own the media. Them own everything, you know. Them on the next side, they own everything. They have tentacles everywhere. And they bring in their full weight of it onto Tobago, because PDP are no money. So permit me, Brother Farley, to send a message to this fella from Digo Martin, an agent Rottweiler. I want to send a message to him. But I don't talk to disrespectful people. So I have to use one of his lackeys, a good friend of mine. You know, when the man named Joseph, you tell yourself, well, he got, you know, in the Bible, he's the interpreter of dreams. He's this visionary man. But this Joseph, like something going wrong with him. He lost his gift. So I want to ask Brother Joseph, please carry this message for me. Because I know you know the fella. He and his business partner, they mashed down your family house in Adelphi as they try to thief the land up there. Because you know, they feel them is God, they could go around to the and just take a piece of land. As they're trying to thief the Adelphi estate from under Pollard, because he put up a plan to build a house up there. You break down your land, your house, Joseph, you're trying to build it back. And I know you're stooping like a dog and hoping that then break down the new one. So you have the ears. You have the ears. So I want to ask you, my partner, I want to ask you to deliver a message for me. Because I ain't talking to them. They're disrespectful and out of order. Come up here from where they come from and feel they could talk to me and talk to you and call out my name anyhow they want. Me and them are no friend. I don't even want to call them name in my mouth. Walking around on this colonial leftover hypocrisy of honorable this. None of that with me. They are dishonorable, corrupt individuals hiding behind prime ministership. Carry the message for me. Because we in Tobago had the misfortune on Saturday night to hear this mind-numbing, old rot presentation from this fella who wants to be king and feels he's king so he can talk anything. Punto final, he could talk anything, that he and the PNM will not respect our wishes. Punto final. Disrespectful. This is our land, Tobago, and you have to reject that and stand up against it at all costs. All costs. Out of place. When he ain't saying we are dog porn and doing nothing about it, he coming up and telling Chief Secretary to sit down in a corner. How you could support that? And then want to talk about Farley and Watson? Out of place. They are not to run on. But I'm coming to Madam Tracy just now. Coming to Madam Tracy. But Joseph, the one who interprets visions, tell the fella in your best man's voice, Mr. Speaker, Tobago says, I see hate. Tobago says we see hate for all non-PNM people from the old rut. We see fear. The same fear you're trying to tell the people who to vote for. We see it in you as you're backpedaling and you see defeat in your future. Indeed, tell this old Rottweiler that Tobago say, we see fear in you, and this time your fears will be realized. We see victimization. No contract officer could come out and support the PDP openly. No worker, no URP worker. You're victimizing people who are making $200 a day and less. What kind of madness is that? And you're voting for that Tobago? Reject that. Reject it. The lowest among us, you victimizing. And palming that off as governance in order to support your corruption in Trinidad and need our 2 seats. We see victimization, tell him for me. We see corruption at all levels from that fella himself. When you could leave these shores and go to Australia, you alone, and negotiate the procurement of 2 boats, where in the world that could happen? Where in the world people in the THA can even buy toilet paper without 3-quart? We see corruption at every level. Mr. Speaker, in your manning voice, we see lies. We see lies. So don't bother to open back your fridge door again. We know that you're lying. Don't bother to open it back. Because we see lies. We see petrol train closed. We see lies. We see nobody arrested at all for your email gate. We see lies. Don't come to Tobago with your high-handed nonsense and talk down to us. You getting me vexed? I had to take off my jacket again warm. We see, Mr. Speaker, we see the massive land grab on behalf of his 1%. Tell him, Joseph, we see it, and the PDP will resist it at all costs. The lands in Tobago are the heritage of Tobagonians. Don't use no law that you're making to try and give it away to your friend and passing it off as some project that not a project. Where you over here, there's a project ready to go, you have no design, but you're coming to present as if it's your project, but it's yours, we know. Project for Rocky Point. Where you ever hear that? A prime minister and the whole PNM presenting a project for a private individual on a piece of land that belongs to the people of Tobago. Where you ever hear that? And Tobagonians supporting that nonsense. How are you going to vote for that? We had to change that. Fix that. We see the land grab. So, we see, Mr. Speaker, the biggest lie that I think is the biggest lie. This lie that somehow we have a unitary state and we must entrench ourselves fully in this unitary state because that is where we belong. Because in a unitary state that we have, there is no Tobago and there is no Trinidad, but Trinidad controls all the waters and all the resources. And Tobago, what you say, produces $200 million in revenue. Madness and lie. But I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, that poinsettia platform in Tobago waters, because yes, we are waters, don't mind the lie, produces $2 billion $30 per year since 2009. So rock so with your 200 million and go back to Trinidad and tell them, is that what we're doing? Because we tired of them lies. We hear them lies since Robinson come up here. We hear them lies. How we have no oil. Is he the one who said we cast all we have? We hear them lies repeating, my brother. We hear them lies. We tired of lies. So tell him for me, Joseph, finally, tell him that he's not fit to call my name in his mouth. He's not fit. He's a traitor to Tobago. He is probably the biggest traitor to Tobago and the biggest threat to economic development in Tobago. Because this concept of the unitary state that they hide behind finds no legal pronouncement in the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago whatsoever. Where you say, punto final. It is not in the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. It is only an administrative process that Eric and Ellis put in place to ensure that you and me in Tobago never get out of it. Nothing, nowhere else. Nothing else is. We have, according to the Constitution, a sovereign democratic republic that is defined, that defines two islands. Two islands with dependencies. That's what we have. Brought together and administered together, and the administration type can change tomorrow. And PDP, once I am present, will change it. We must change and understand that words have meaning and words are important. Nobody in Tobago should be saying the phrase unitary state. It does not exist, and it only allows for the next generation in Tobago to feel that we cannot change this union that we have, but we can. And if it comes to that, as Brother Fali said, he wants devolution of authority. And if you don't give us our money, we will have to take other action. Because no more in Tobago will we accept that you can come, what the bills and them say, and take any land in Tobago for your use. What kind of madness that half of Tobago supporting? That you could come and say that Tobago only has 6 miles or 11 miles and you have all the rest. What is that? What is that? Let me get serious in Tobago, because this election, if we vote incorrectly, Crapo smoke our collective pipes. Crapo smoke our collective pipes. I wanted to give a dog analogy, but I changed my mind. Because the supper that we have today will disappear if we vote incorrectly. And this is not the fear-mongering from the fella. If we vote incorrectly, Crapo smoke our pipe. And the little autonomy that you have, the little control that you have will disappear. Because this fella, if you read all his actions, his only intent is to cement a situation where the PNM can win government in Trinidad. That's all he's concerned about. Nothing for Tobago. You feel you want to build an airport? You want to build no airport? And you know, as I mentioned, the airport and this corruption that they engage in, where in the world that one contractor responds to a tender and the government goes forward with it for $1 billion project? One contractor respond not once, but twice for the airport project. And we sit down and say, we reward the infrastructure so that we understand nothing. Is that the Scarborough Sex School, reward the new school so that we understand nothing. Taking our money and paying a business partner, as we all see now. They buy the land for $300,000 an acre in Bacalet and selling it for $4 million an acre. Taking our money to do that. And people on the next side saying, yeah, let me cool yourself down, eat a biscuit and shut your mouth. When are we in Tobago going to get serious about this thing that we call governance? When? I want to tell you tonight that the time has come for us to change and to change to the PDP, because if we don't, everything that we hold dear, every piece of land, is gone forever. They had a fear-mongering in 2013 about the next party in Trinidad coming up and teaming up with Ashworth to take we land. And they boast how the Tobago House of Assembly is the biggest landowner in the Caribbean. Nothing for you and me. They start a two development project to give lands to Tobagonians. Since 2011, you know. 44 lots in Belgarden, 116 lots in Corland. Up to today, they can't finish, but they want to build project in town. Where and how? The other night when I hadn't planned to say this, so the other night I inadvertently gave the wrong figures. So let me apologize for that, but I'll give you the figures tonight. In 21 years, 116 service lots under the PNM. 21 years. What is that? How much lots per year is that? It will take the PNM administration 250 years to give you those 2,000 lots. 250 years. That is the performance that you've been supporting, and that is the performance I tell you to walk away from and jump over to the PDP. Because nowhere in heaven that we could have Whitey, a land developer, Trevor, a land developer, sunny days are coming, a land developer, and we can't build and provide service lots for you. We will do that just like that. Wave the wand, and the lots that you deserve and require will become available. Because what we said last year, we are the Tobago transformers. So now, let me go back to this copycat trickster. Let me go back. Father, what are they for me? Let me go back to this copycat structure. All of us know that they have done nothing in Scarborough. Remember the definition, eh? They have done nothing in Scarborough for the time they have been there. Suddenly, they have nothing to campaign on. And so, they present a set of lies last night. Is it last night? Saturday night? They present a set of lies, and they can't even lie. You know, you zoom in on one of the picture. They even can go and Photoshop it and say, okay, we Photoshop it and it look good. You zoom in on one of the pictures, you still see high rise in the background. Somebody think they download from internet. You know? Somebody think they download from internet and saying they have plan. Lies. What do you say? The project has been going on for 3 years in the planning stage. For 3 years. And they have had consultations. Any one of you, wherever you are in Tobago, here have a consultation for anything in tongue from them? Lies. And the reporters who report these lies, I want to have a beef with you. Go and do your work and ask a question before you write your story and present a balanced story. Don't write lies and regurgitate lies from these liars. They say the IADB going to finance it and they go start in 3 months. Well, I write proposals to submit to the IADB before. And I can't remember ever reading anything anywhere in the IADB requirements that you will submit a project to them that not approved. Lies. Where in the IADB, where? Just lies upon lies being brought to you in election time to thief your head and get your vote. So tell them, please, to stop. 3 months to start. 3 months to start. One more consultation. I want to ask Madam Tracy. I'm going to put out a challenge. When I am finished this speech tonight, I'm going to upload my entire development plan for the master plan of Scarborough to Facebook. All 45 pages of it. I want to ask Tracy and where's the one name that was on the radio today? Shamfa Kojo, saying that we download things from the internet. The same architect that you reject, I want to tell you tonight, the same architect that you have been rejecting in Tobago, born, bred, and schooled in Tobago, was head of the team for the master plan development for Scarborough. Same architect, in preference to numbskulls from Trinidad coming up working for all your cut companies, Udicut and E-Tech and whoever coming to take with money. The same engineering and architectural people that we have, that you can't give them a consultancy contract, are the ones who prepare the documents for the PDP. The PDP can't pay me yet. And they're calling me. So when I'm finished tonight, I'm going to upload my plans to my page. I want to ask all PDP people, don't vote not Tracy, because she don't know nothing. Like I say, Stephen King aptly described her. She's one of the dim bulbs. Upload 5 pages. Don't put up 10 or 20. 5 pages of your designs, 5 pages of your written proposal and your intent. Upload it to Facebook and let all of Tobago see, or go tomorrow and call a news conference and backtrack from that lie. They're too lied. What are you going to do to win votes? When the fella and come up last time and say he go kill Denise politically, that you can't divulge a secret because that is mafioso code and he's the head of the mafia. When we in Tobago going to realize that this organization is not for us? My mother used to say, show me a liar and I'll show you a thief and a murderer. That is why he could say he going to kill. And if PDP was wicked, they'd have stopped the video there and say he going to kill her. But we fear and we honest. We're not like them. We're not like them. Talking in the public that you're going to destroy the life of a woman, a proud Tobago, educated woman from good Scarborough family, that you're going to kill her because she decided that she must oppose you. Yes, kill her politically. Because she opposed you. So nobody must oppose you. You is king and lord of all. And Tobagonians, apparently, we need another soul. Reject him. Send him back. He's still hurting from that licks that you put on him, you know. He's still hurting. And he's determined to punish you and me and every Tobagonian for it. Because he can't get over it. Can't get over it. So, welcome to the city of Scarborough. I know you've been waiting because this project and master plan development for Scarborough will transform all our lives. But it especially will transform the lives of the suburbs and the villages around Scarborough. Not only my district, but state and WASP and Abbey. It will change the entire landscape in Tobago. And yes, we will build it. No holding back of money. Nothing will prevent us. We will build it. And if there are Tobagonians that have doubt, I want to tell you this. When oil and gas was found in Trinidad land and in the waters south of the island of Trinidad, they spent 99% of that in Trinidad. And by their narrative, they gave us 1%, and they moved to 1.5%, and they moved to 2%, and so on. But they spent all the revenue from their oil and gas, and I'm calling it theirs because rightfully, something south of Trinidad is theirs. When energy resources are found in waters north of Tobago and west of Tobago and east of Tobago, in line with the island of Tobago, who one it is? No, but according to when he say, stop this nonsense and jumping around, stop this nonsense about what is yours, and what is mine is mine. We should be demanding that 99% of that revenue is spent in Tobago and we give them 1%. That's what we should be demanding. Not no 6% and no 10%, and as Vanna says, some 35%. We should start the negotiation from 99 to 1. That's where we should start. Because in this union that has been forced upon us, we have been dominated and decimated for 130 years. I'm reading something this morning about Bigart refusing to go to Trinidad to write an exam, a pharmacy exam, and it took them 2 years to decide to write it in Tobago. That is what we're facing up to today, you know. Bigart in 1930, whatever, struggling and standing up and say, listen, if we have one country, what you have in Trinidad must have it in Tobago. And somebody in Trinidad refusing to do it for 2 years before the man could write a little pharmacy exam. And that is what they want us to keep voting for, so that they could fight the race war in Trinidad with the UNC. And the black people in Tobago must out of hand accept it because they love us. But they don't. Who they love is the people from Diego Martin and Valsane and Westmoreland. That's who they love. They love you. They have nothing for you. So I want to put the fella on notice that when PDP wins, make sure and tell ETEC and CRCC that no boy from Shanghai and Wuhan and Guangdong and wherever will be walking in Tobago and my brethren in Collar Hall and Darrell Spring and walking. That ain't happening. So tell them get ready to renegotiate because we can't change the contract anymore. They don't corruptly give them the contract. We can't change it. But when we win, bet your bottom dollar that that project will employ Tobagonians, and the people who want to make war in Tobago could take their money and give them the contract. Power to you, my brothers. But when the PDP wins, Tobagonian men, Tobagonian women will be working on that project come hell or high water. So get ready to negotiate, and the men and brethren in Scarborough, Calder Hall, and Mount Grace, and Darrell Spring, get ready. We ain't taking that. Grogo Patch, yes, we ain't taking that. So remember what I said before. Economic development is the creation of wealth from which community benefits are realized. It is an investment in the growing and enhancing of the prosperity and quality of life for all. For all. Economic development in the district level involves the allocation of resources in a way that affects business activity, employment, and income distribution patterns. We simply cannot allow our young men and our young women to remain unemployed and turn into crime and whatever they're getting into, smoking weed and so on, lying on the block as a way of life. And people from around the world, coming and lifting galvanized and moving cement and throwing mortar on wall. I look at the design, I have the whole design. Well, where they say 60%. It's a normal building with some glass and some steel. It ain't to build a normal building and some road. Normal contractor in Tobago could build that. Why would you take, what is it, 136 million US dollars that we don't have and send it out the country and give it to a contractor who alone, one contractor respond? Why would you do that? And why would Tobagonians support that? We want development at any cost. We have to ensure that the infrastructural development allocate resources in a way that positively affects business activity in Tobago, that positively impacts employment in Tobago, that positively changes income distribution patterns in Tobago. That's what we have to do. Every dollar that we spend in Tobago must multiply in Tobago 7 times before it leaves. We need to fix that, Brother Farley. We need to fix that. So, we showed you the video of Scarborough. And maybe it might be applicable that I just go through what the master plan is. City of Scarborough includes four major features. It includes a civic center where all THA offices will be housed. We plan
Concept design.
all the offices into the city because what we are trying to do is to ensure that the city has enough people to fuel demand in the city. And demand in the city provides jobs in the city, provides employment, provides multiplier effect in the city so that people can see a way of life in business. We need to bring everybody in one location. You don't have to run down to works, to the inspectorate, to get a form signed, run up to Inland Revenue, up the road. You don't have to do that. We want the government center to be in one location. We have a small country. That's the first feature. We will, where's the word? Compulsory acquire, because by that time the THA will have the authority to compulsory acquire, believe me. We will compulsory acquire that property where Tiantec is, and we will move Tiantec generating plant, whatever they have there, out of the city, and we will give them an office in one of the buildings so that they could collect your tax and collect your electricity payments. And we will build 2 high-rise buildings there. Because this is not a gimmick that you saw the other night. This is presenting a master plan that every single Tobagonian can buy into and see themselves in and benefit from. The investment in infrastructure must benefit all residents. That's what economic development is. The second major feature is that area where the THA offices and houses now. No more will a child go to school and be taught in a curriculum and don't know and don't know Tobago history. All the history from wherever they are, people calling me from all over the place to tell me they have a book from this and they have artifacts from this and belong to Tobago, all in England, in New York, in Pennsylvania. People texting me and telling me, James, when they build the library, call me, we are going to give you some information. We need to house our history here so we could teach it to our children, because that is how we develop loyalty to country. That is how we develop loyalty to country. Yes, Library of Congress of Tobago. That's the major feature, because we are about real economic development that benefits all. The third major feature, of course, is the port. The port of Scarborough. Now, sometime I tried, when I was conceptualizing this thing with the design team, we went through a whole exercise of trying to investigate ports in the region, tourism ports, cruise ship ports, and industrial ports, container ports. And I, for the first time, made this startling revelation. I had this startling revelation. There is no island in the region that does not have an international port barring Tobago. None. Small islands like Sabre and St. Christopher have international ports. The only island that the fella want to keep in the backwaters so we can build it in our economy is Tobago. So don't let them mamaga you with some thing that download from the internet. You know when they say something about you, you already know what they're doing, eh? Don't let them mamaga you with some nonsense about some project that they're doing for 3 years or will be funded by whoever. Lies. What we need to do is buy into the PDP plan. Because the PDP plan is not a James plan. It's a plan developed where I had an input, but it was designed by Tobagonians who understand what development is and how it should impact our society. We're not going to build a building. They even so bumptious that they take the area we say we go put our transportation hub and put in our parking. Where, how far and how low will they go, and how low will Tobagonians stoop to this fella to support them and their nonsense? How? So that's the other major feature. 3 piers, we are going to use part of it as we move Tobago into international container arrivals. We're going to use part of it until we decide where in Tobago is more suitable for a container port. Some people, Dr. Williams and others, believe Cove is. Some people believe that where the slaves first entered in Studley Park, where the natural deep water there, is the place, because we need land frontage. But as we move Tobago into a new reality, we need to wet our feet almost. We need to wet our feet in this business of international container arrivals. And so we will dedicate a part of the port for that. We will build new facilities for the now area where the fishermen are. You go around there, you see that it's like you go to Beaton. Boats scatter all over the place, thing all on the ground, no ice factory, no gas station, men toting bag of ice from the van to carry it on a boat. And where we live in? Where have we been living for 21 years? We ain't seen that. We will build out a new fishing facility in Scarborough where motorboats can dock properly, where fishermen have access to ice on the port and fuel on the port. That's what we will do. We'll build a new area for the Coast Guard. And as Brother Farley said, if the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of National Security don't want to buy a boat for them, then we will buy a boat for them, because our security is our business. Our fishermen getting lost at sea, Coast Guard can't respond. We in Tobago have to realize that only we in Tobago will fix this Tobago that we have, and no PNM will ever fix it. We will design a new transportation hub. Imagine the young men in and around Scarborough plying their trade on brand new state-of-the-art cars in a transportation hub in the morning and the evening, that 5,000 people coming through. Imagine the demand for whatever they're selling, how that will increase, how that will benefit them. You need to centralize that. How long now the bus terminus break down? How long? How long? How long? How long the fire station break down? How long? We are an island abandoned by the PNM. Not now, for years. But they want it so, because if it is so, you and I can develop the personal independence to change how we vote. That's how they want it. In the meantime, they cream off all the money corruptly and give it to those who want to make war now in Tobago. And we're voting for that. We have to stop. You come off the port with a container, TSTT lines, T&Tech lines, Channel 5 lines, Digicel lines right in your face. You can't pass. In a city, that would be a thing of the past within 4 years. All of that will be underground. Don't worry, we're going to fix it. There's need for more roads in Scarborough. More entry and exit from Scarborough. We need another road somewhere between Carrington Street, Milford Road, and the highway. We need another parallel road. That's what we need. We have to find a way to do it so we could build a real city. Those are the features, those are the main features of the plan. It's not a building. A building is not a development plan. Don't mind what I tell you, told you up front, a building is not a development plan. That is what they presented. Lies. So how will we carry this out so that it benefits? Remember what I said? It is about creating benefits for all. How are we going to build this thing out so that it benefits the majority of Tobago? And I know when I say this, that they're going to go and research it because they don't know procurement or construction or project management. Some would say they don't know anything. But we are going to procure this contract under a contract management procurement methodology. Let me repeat it so that Madam could learn something. Contract management procurement methodology. Through this method, we can have several small work packages contracted to small contractors and supervised by a project management team. Not like the madness they're doing in Crown Point, where they believe somehow like this design build thing is the panacea for everything in construction now. So everybody will design build this, design build that, and they give one man all the money. And so, on a construction project, we have 4 core centers. I feel like I teach in a class. We have 4 core centers. We have the supervisors, we have material and labor, and then we have profit. Those are the 4 core centers that you price a project on. When you give the entire project to a design build team as you did for CRCC, it does not benefit Tobago. You're going to spend $136 million and not a cent multiplying Tobago. That is not how you have economic development. Right, so procurement management methodology. It requires that we define the boundaries of Scarborough. We extend the boundaries of the city in order for us to have the kind of development and requirements in the city that we could understand and build and benefit from. To do that, we must, Brother Farid said it last night, I think, take full control of town country planning. We must decide that never again some clerk in Trinidad who probably never been to Tobago deciding how YT land is to be used. We must create our own spatial plan for every square foot of land in Tobago within 4 years, so that nobody in the future could come and subjectively say, I'm not giving you this. You must be a friend of this one to get it. No. We must change all that quickly. And so we must take town country planning. Who are the people that will benefit when we are building out this city? All our construction professionals, project managers, construction engineers, undersea workers, carpenters, masons, laborers, small equipment operators, truckers, office workers, on the port, stevedores, longshoremen, port administrative, harbor masters, marine port operative, customs clerk and brokers, port engineers. We're going to see a mass increase in business companies and transportation companies, maintenance companies, freight forwarders, cruise line operators, warehousing operations. A new Tobago can only be built if we build the city of Scarborough. So, as I close, let me say that prepare yourselves, Tobagonians. A new dawn is on the horizon. But to achieve this new dawn, the PDP needs you to take and to accept your first responsibility. Your first responsibility in this entire plan is to get up early on the 6th, go to the polling station, and look for the bamboo bullifay, look for the name of your candidate, and vote for the PDP and root these corrupt people out of office in Tobago forever. I am Trevor James, and I am the candidate for Scarborough Mount Grace. Let me fix this.
Brothers and sisters, let us hear it for the man with the plan. You know, I took some notes. I going home, study them, and call in the radio station. And I went and asked for a TV show. I got sound like a real boss. Trust me, I have my notes. Brothers and sisters, we in an election, but we have some persons with passion. As I tell you already, the people, the persons in the PDP have some amazing skill sets. There is a young fella from the country, the East. He's a teacher, an educator, a sportsman, a farmer. But when he talk, I want to call some agencies for you. KGB, FBI, CIA, SIS, Scotland Yard. You remember a while ago, our Honorable Prime Minister would have acquired the services of a person from Scotland Yard and the Barbados Police Service. He really didn't want any action. He was to come to Tobago and we'd have sent him to Speyside. And we'd have given him a man who does coach, who tutors these institutions. I bring to you, ladies, friends, gentlemen, supporters, and those who ain't support us as yet, because the thing will change, an educator that they call fact-finding Valley.
Oh, this song so soft. Is that PNM DJ we have tonight or? Come on, DJ, come on, do better than that. Jam the music, give it a please.
We got them holding on in order to stay around in a life therapy imbalance. For it is nature's way.
PDP, good night. Tobago, good night. Let me say thank you to all those who spoke before. Thank you, Trevor, for your doctoral thesis on how we are to redevelop Scarborough Mount Grace. But more than that, how we could use Scarborough as the epicenter for Tobago's growth. Because what most people do not recognize is that your capital is often your first and last impression to many people. And if your capital is a shanty town, then that is the aura, that is the energy, that is the message you are sending to the rest of the world. And if Scarborough is supposed to be our city, it must reflect who we are as a people. Last night I spoke to you about who is a Tobagonian. And we have to ensure that our city and our towns and hamlets and villages, that they look like us, people who take good care of themselves. Come on, Tobagonians, you know how we are. Even if you go to the smallest home in Tobago, a little board house, you will see how neat and clean it is, how well swept it is, how immaculate it is. Because as a people, we are accustomed taking care of ourselves to the highest of esteems. And what has become of Scarborough requires that we have to really re-engineer our city so that everybody can be proud. Whether you're from town or you're from country, you can be proud of the city of Scarborough. And it cannot be that the only time we experience city living is when we take the boat to go to Port of Spain. When they take the boat to come to Tobago, they must experience high quality and efficient city living. And that's why we have a man like Mr. Trevor James with a plan. Tonight, I won't keep you a lot longer because I am aware that we are 11 minutes before 10. But for the next 11 minutes, I wish to speak to you briefly. And tonight, I had intended to talk to you about contract employment. But let me say it right now. Tomorrow night, I'm going to speak to you about contract employment, about labor issues within the Tobago House of Assembly. I'm going to give you certain assurances that is within the purview of the THA to give. I'm going to demonstrate to you how we are going to refabricate our public sector and our workforce so that you can be comfortable. I'm going to lay out for you how it is you will get to that place that those of you working in TRHA for donkey years now and your employment status still ain't fixed properly. You can't get gratuity properly. Nothing is working on your side. I'm going to explain to you why we need to fix your labor issues so that you will have more power when you go to the financial institutions, so you could actually be able to afford mortgages, afford long-term loans, be able to support your family, be able to invest your earnings in something else. And so we'll take some time and build that out tomorrow night. So if you're on the live, I would like for you to tell all your friends in Tobago who are contracted employees of the THA, you need to look and listen tomorrow night. I need for you to tell all the teachers who are contracted educators, as we are called, because I am substantively one of them. Granted that they have dismissed me without due process, but that is okay. I am here to dismiss them from the Executive Council with the due process of an election. So I'm not afraid of that. But our teachers, those of you waiting for your increments, those of you who have been interviewed, those of you who have the instructions by letter from your service commission that will facilitate your promotion within the service, and you're still there with the 83 salary and you can't get your improvement, you get a degree, you improve, you're teaching classes higher than what you're being paid to teach, but nobody treating with the management of your labor within the THA. And I'm telling you that this is one party that will take labor issues seriously. And so you need to listen out tomorrow night as we address that. But there is a mischief that keeps popping up over and over again. And I dismiss it because I say Tobagonians aren't stupid enough to listen to that kind of mischief. But people are asking. And they're asking because they may have a genuine concern. And they're asking because somebody somewhere starts saying, Watson Duke will become Secretary of Finance. And I addressed it in passing, but I need to address it in full. And it won't take long. And let me say categorically, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, born and raised in Roxborough, Tobago, and vying to be the next area representative or the continuing area representative for Roxborough Argyle, and who is also the president of the PSA, will not be the next Secretary of Finance of the Tobago House of Assembly. It can't get clearer than that. And let me add more flesh to it. Mr. Watson Duke himself has been on record last year and this year saying to Tobagonians that he had no interest in being Secretary of Finance. When we were having the negotiations for the to come together and to form an executive together, Mr. Duke made it very clear to all and sundry he had no interest in being any Secretary of Finance. But I needed to repeat it tonight in the little time we have, because a lot of people may have missed it earlier and are getting carried away by the fear mongering that is happening. So I have addressed it clearly, cogently, comprehensively. Mr. Duke addressed it earlier in this calendar year. And so there's no need to panic anyway. One thing about the PDP party is that we know our strengths and our weaknesses. We know where our strengths and weaknesses lie as individuals. And so we are not going to force upon ourselves a situation where we put square pegs in wrong holes and wrong pegs in square holes. You know, if you have a little child and you're teaching them shapes and they start putting the wrong shapes in the wrong places, as a parent, you will become concerned. And as a parent, you might be tempted to go and seek medical attention to have the child evaluated. PDP is not that kind of party. PDP is not that kind of party where we put square pegs in wrong holes. We have had that for the last 21 years. And that's why Brother Trevor could tell you that over the last 21 years, when I look at how much service lots they give out, it will take them over 200 years at that same work rate to give us sufficient service lots, the same 2,000 service lots they want to give to you. Brother Watson told us some weeks ago, on average, they gave us 11 homes per year. When they divide 21 years by the number of houses they gave over the 21 years, on average, 11 per year. That work rate is laziness. That work rate is inefficient. And so we are not in the habit of putting square pegs in wrong holes. Mr. Duke has made his position very clear about where he stands in all of this. So do not accept any fear-mongering, please. And as I close, because we are approaching 5 minutes to 10, you know, I want to close with a story. And in this story, it's about a farmer, his pregnant wife, and a donkey that were heading to market. And as they were on their way to the market, along the route, people started offering suggestions as to how they should use this beast of burden. In the first instance, some say, "You're wicked, put the pregnant woman on the donkey." Another instance, people say, "But you're wicked, you put that whole big pregnant woman on the donkey. You are the slimmer man, go on the donkey." And then some other people change their mind and say, "Nah, all the wicked to the donkey, put the load on the donkey." And then you end up with a lot of inefficiency. This is a powerful lesson for us as Tobagonians. Not that we should never take advice from people, but that we should take time to research things. Take time to work out how things work. If we look at how things work, we will get things done right. One of Tobago's biggest deficiencies was that we closed down a place called PREI, which stood for Policy Research and Development Institute, and that we no longer take time to research things. Because if that family researched things before they left home, they would have determined beforehand who would have been the best person to be placed on top of the donkey to be transported. If they looked at the distance of the journey and what it will do to the pregnant wife versus the farmer, the husband, versus the load, what will happen to the donkey, they could have easily worked out what was the most efficient thing to do with the minimal impact on life and energy. And Tobago as an island, for some reason, we stopped planning. We all come from homes where we spent donkey years planning. Go by the people who have nice house in Tobago now. Most of them and build a house 1 day and 6 months and 2 years. Most of them spent years planning and building. They took the time, and perhaps the reason for that is because we are not the title in the name and we can walk down by the bank and get a mortgage. But we spend time planning. Think about the people like the Dr. Vanus Jameses, the people who come out from homes where people, where parents were humble farmers, making poor pittance. How do you think they managed to get their children to university? Proper planning. And one of the key things for us in Tobago is that we need to spend time and plan. And I'm telling you that against the backdrop of what happened earlier today. You just show up and all of a sudden you have a $60 million plan for Scarborough. 21 years after that, you don't get no plan. You're there for 21 years. So where did I do for the last 21 years? Where did I do for the last 21 years? Scarborough didn't become as it is now. You go up Burnett Hill. You see I have a big sign on one of them old buildings. You know who own it, if it's Morales or who own it? Because Morales says she own the whole of Tobago. You know where she get all her privilege there from. Big sign since 2013 threatening to demolish the building if the private owners do not demolish the building. The building because they're falling over into Burnett Hill now. Since 2013, I see the division put out a statement saying, well, exec council moved a month ago, or October or sometime later, say we're going to demolish the building. Since 2013, you put up a sign there, threatening to demolish it after a certain period. The period gone long time. And it speaks to how we have done business over the last 21 years. And here's the benefit of what we have. We have a man like Trevor. Before we even get into office, before we even see how much money we could get to spend, before we even know how the Prado them feel when they're driving it, start planning about how we are going to fix Scarborough. That is how we do governance. You know, waiting till you get there. You're spending time doing research. And you could tell her you have what, a 60-page document laying out why we need it, what we need, and justifying it. Look around town. Look up town. We just increased the number of seats to 15. Are you aware that the Tobago House of Assembly chamber can hold 15 people in there? Are you aware that we could barely hold the 12 plus the 4 councillors, right? 12 plus 4 is how much? 16, right? We could barely hold 12 plus the 4 councillors as it is. With COVID, we try to spread out and we start to put people to sit down all in the media box. But with COVID and the need to space out, we're 15 holding. We got to put people to sit down up in the public gallery as opposed to by a dignified sort of arrangement. Poor planning. So we decide we want 15 seats before we decide how to fix the chamber to accommodate 15 seats. That has been how we have done business. And now we have to fix Scarborough with proper planning. Look around the port. How much time school ship here and the business community, Dan Harar and them people fuming mad because they both can't come in to get off their goods. Perishable goods almost spoiling because it's either the cruise ship or the cargo boat. How long now we know that? How long now? 21 years a day. You not plan nothing. But you come to give plan after 21 years. You see, it's too bold pistol in here. How long we know we need the port to be fixed? How long? Every time the boat comes in, heavy congestion in town. In fact, whenever you know the boat coming in around lunchtime, is old mass in town. Try to have a meeting in town around 12:30. I have tried it. Have a meeting around 12:30 and just trying to leave uptown to come downtown on time for the meeting. You can't make it on time. Traffic, congestion evermore. That didn't happen overnight. That happened because of no planning, poor planning. What about parking? How long now we know parking is not readily available in town? They spend money and build a car park opposite Port Mall. Well, I got a new vehicle thanks to the Tobago House of Assembly that has a loan facility for members. So don't think I get big money somewhere. I have to pay every month at 6% interest rate, right? So it's not free. I have to pay back the THH money. And I'm paying dutifully every month. But I ain't taking my new car and park over there. Because anybody will tell you that that was never a good place for a car park. Every minute the sea coming splash out over, splashing upon any vehicle across there. And we are actually along the Atlantic coastline. So you know the sea must splash out over into the car park. Poor planning. If they were planning properly, they would think of something else. Or they would think about, before putting a car park there, let me try to reclaim some land and some frontage so that we will ensure we secure people's cars when they park. Where were our plans before for a parkade? You're going Trinidad and you're feeling nice and stush. Look at the government campus plaza. And please, Patrick Manning and I were no best friends. I were no brief for Patrick Manning. And he did many wrong things. But at least he had a plan. At least he had a vision. Go in the government campus plaza. See how things nicely intertwine. How you could walk from office to office. You're walking through cobblestone street here, proper parkade there. You could go and get a cup of coffee there. Nice restaurant with nice view there. So what's wrong with we? We don't want nothing nice to. We don't want a place to look good to. We must be satisfied with mediocrity all of our lives. Poor planning caused that. Look how long NIB break down. And before NIB more break down, everybody know every Monday morning the sewer kicking up. The billing wasn't efficient. It had outlived its usefulness. Plenty away in this room and on this live. Get plenty licks and plenty send home and suspension. Because long time them tongue school used to tell you can't lime on the mall. Mr. Sosa and them walking through the mall after school. If they catch you in problems, you can't sit down there and lime. But what happened? Just fence wrong with galvanize. So wrong with we don't all look good too. How long now the bus terminus break down? When I started in secondary school, is right there I started to go and fight up with Margaret Jack and them. Take cussing from Margaret Jack and them for space on bus. For one old grain to go up country. Earthquake came while I was somewhere in first form, second form. That was 96, 97, somewhere about there. Seriously damaged that entire area because the epicenter seemed to have been around that area. This damaged the library, damaged the bus terminus, damaged the mall. We took where the bus terminus was and we built Victor E. Bruce, overpriced, way over cost. And all now I still have seniors taking sun and rain because we have some bus sheds that weren't even built and designed for the tropics. The entire bottom quarter of the bus shed open to the elements. When rain fall, again wet. The thing is glass, so when sun hot, it's like an inferno inside there. Who thought that through? Poor planning, absent of good planning, absence of proper research. Look at Tiantec. We were told that when Cove came, all our problems done. And I have plenty of friends working in Tiantec, so don't ignore her. We were told that when Cove come, outages will be a thing of the past. Current going now every Monday morning. We have already exhausted that substation in Stolly Park. And I would think by now we will add a second substation going further east to treat with the flow, to ensure we have proper flow. Nothing. And the point is, if we are to get good governance, we have to be into research. We have to have leaders who like to read, who like to see what's happening in the rest of the world. Because I tell you this, I am tired of traveling and seeing other people in nice country and seeing how they develop their space and being envious of how efficient the public transport is and how efficient life might seem. What's wrong with we? And that's why I tell you every night, our goal here is not to just come and spin top in mud. Well, top gone out already. Our goal here is not to come and just keep marking time as they marked time. It's not a march past. Our goal here is to ensure we do the proper research and we lay the foundation for a much more prosperous Tobago. And I end by telling you this, it's plenty hard work. It will require some discomfort. Because if we have to fix the port in Scarborough, it means that at some point, you, the commuters, will be disrupted. If we have to give you a parkade and give you a nice transportation hub with a mixture of shopping and everything, you will experience some discomfort. But imagine what it will feel like when it's done, when it's finished. When you have a transportation hub alongside the market with an exit just where we have a flea market creeping up outside the market there, and you could catch your bus coming to town, just walk into the market, come back, catch a transport. And in this transportation hub, we encourage all, not just the public transport, but the private maxis and taxis to utilize the space in a very integrated fashion. You could shop there. You have a nice skywalk over that street to take you behind Viewport there to a nice parkade. So even if you drive yourself, you could park up and take the skywalk across the road, which will minimize the amount of foot traffic crossing that main artery that's slowing down the traffic every minute somebody has to pass, and make your way seamlessly into the market. Listen, I want Tobago to feel like first world. That's why I tell you, I must dream big things. Those settle for less, stop dreaming small things, dream big. If we dream it and we work hard towards it, we can achieve it. We can achieve it. Because I tell you, before we had a THA, some people thought that was too big a dream. Before we had greater autonomy in 96, some people thought that was too big a dream. Before we could get new hospital and all these secondary schools, some people thought that was too big a dream. I grew up in a place where we had all kind of double bend, all kind of narrow road. But the road's wider now. So why not broaden a dream? Who says we have to stay like this all the time? And be careful of those who on one breath telling you, listen, that's pie in the sky, don't follow that. And on the next breath coming and say, I got to give you something like that too. You will end up with nothing. They are tricksters. And as somebody just said from the audience, is a dog and the bone. Smoke screen and mirrors. Trying to trick you. And I'm saying to you, we deserve better. We can do better. And let us make it our commitment tonight to work harder towards developing this place called Tobago. I look forward, as one of our legacies, Brother Trevor, having a Scarborough that we can all be proud of. And I want those of you in the private sector to not be afraid. All of you all with your nice big buildings that THA rent, do not be afraid. Because we want you to be part of the plan too. Because if we are going to ensure commerce returns to Scarborough in a big way, you have to play a role. You're going to make more money too. Your malls will be full. Your buildings will be full with renters. You will make some money too. We want, when cruise ships come in here, we must say big boats, big macro boats, just docking in the shore, 2, 3 at a time. Tourists evermore. When you're walking around, you're not sure who local and who foreign. You must hear accents from all over the world. That's what happens when you create a city that has international attractions and international flair. We could even add tax-free zones, duty-free zones. So when you come off your boat, you could shop here, you could shop there. You could just flash your passport and get duty-free access to shopping, which will then in turn spur several businesses in the distribution sector again. We told you of a plan to create a sort of a CARICOM jetty because we want to have the first inter-Caribbean island ferry service coming here. That will add more people to our shores. We want Trinidadians to get up and come to Tobago for more than just renting a villa for a weekend. The same way that them Trinis getting up and spending their money flying to Miami and flying to Barbados, they must get up and fly to Tobago, because Tobago is where they could shop in comfort and peace, and nobody could stick a gun in their waist and rob them. That's our competitive advantage that we are not taking full use of. And that's why we endorse this plan. And that's why tonight, me and John B. Trevor, with his doctoral thesis on Scarborough Grace, because I wanted to get it very clear that we intend to take infrastructural development on this island to dizzying new heights, to places you have never seen before, because it is important that we do. And of course, all of that links back to what we spoke about in education and the fact that we need a two-track system, and we need to support vocational education at the same level we support traditional education. Because who went and build this new city? I don't want outsiders to build a new city for us. And even if they have to come and partner with us, the people and the skilled workers who must build it must be you Tobagonians. Nobody could build Tobago with as much pride as you. It had to be our young men. So those of you in Castara and Charlottesville and Speyside and wherever you are tonight, Duncombe Point, in Plymouth, in Golden Lane, wherever you are tonight, liming on a block, maybe a lineman and always lime on the block and watch you live. Wherever you are tonight, we are doing this for you so that you have an avenue for your talents. You cannot be a talented and skilled as a tradesman and just sit at home wasting your talent and skills. You have to help us rebuild Scarborough and rebuild every community. And no, Brother James, we ain't jealous of you in tongue, because the kind of development we want for up by me is not skyscrapers, is not a big city look. We want to preserve our environment and develop in a way that is cohesive with what we have with Man and the Biosphere Award, and that brings technology and everything to that. And so Tobago, and I'm saying that's what Tobagonians farmer will understand, that while the development type varies from part to part and section to section of the island, no community will be left behind, including Scarborough. And so tonight I thank you, and I remind you again that tomorrow we're treating with our contracted employees and how we are going to fix things for you. We're treating with all in labor issues, and I could tell you from now that I had a very talented James man who assisted with providing me with some of the data and information for how we can fix these contractual issues. It are plenty talented James on the island apparently, right? We have some talented ones. And tomorrow I wish to present that to you so that our contracted employees will feel a sense of comfort after 21 years of discomfort. And above all things, we work together towards making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. That is our goal, the greatest little island on the planet. I need you to believe it with me. I need you to work towards it with me. Be ready to dig in your heels and put your shoulders to the wheel, but I need you to work towards it. We're going to do like Rihanna and work, 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 until we get what we so dream of so badly. We are going to work towards it. We're not lazy, we're industrious, we're creative, we are geniuses, and we can get it done and make Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. Thank you very much, Tobago, tonight. God bless you, love you all, and thank you all for staying on the live so long. See you all tomorrow evening.
To ensure that I don't engage in procrastination, my plans for you tonight is to say thanks. I plan to tell you the live continues tomorrow, 7 p.m., where we highlight Abby Taylor and the electoral district of Wim Darrell Spring. My plan to you tonight is to say thanks energize yourself. Come back tomorrow where we continue PDP on the Road series. Good night. God bless. Thank you.